this is clearly it would be driven, I guess, by a Republican talking point to focus on the leaks at the White House. Most recently, the national security leaks suggesting that President Obama is personally in charge of the kill list, and he looks at it regularly, takes people off, erases people from the list, both because he doesn't want them killed or because perhaps they've already been killed, right? And also the cyber attacks on Iran. So the Republicans have come out, and John McCain suggesting that as other members of Congress look into the source of these leaks, and the Obama administration came out today, we'll hear from the president talking about the leaks. But John McCain coming out and saying the White House is responsible for these leaks because they make the president look like a tough guy on foreign policy.
So you want to go to the clip of him saying that?
Yeah, let's listen to John McCain, then we'll come back talk about it. Here's John McCain talking about the leaks from the Obama administration.
Who benefits? Who's benefited from these leaks? That's what you always look for, and obviously the portrayal of the president as a strong and courageous leader throughout this narrative is what it's all about. And the second aspect, of course, is that this administration has been blatantly political on all national security issues that I've been observing of, and so I think it's very clear that these leaks came from the White House, people within the White House itself.
He should run for president.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, he's inspirational to listen to.
Well, shouldn't there be a rule? I think they should make a new rule that once you lose for your bid for the presidency, you have to shut up for a while.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Right? Because the country already told you that we don't want to hear from you anymore.
Right, yeah.
Yet you keep talking, and they keep putting a camera in front of him, and he keeps talking as if people care.
Yeah, there's a documented shut up to John McCain.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, when George W. Bush lost in 2000, he would not stop talking, giving press conferences, like
running the government,
moving into the White House.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Here's the thing that I find interesting about this, among others, is that, there's a segment of the country that is very sort of enthused by the kill list. That this is, and I understand that the FBI's 10 most wanted list, always it's part of American lore, but the president has this private little kill list. He's saying there's a segment that thinks that that's advantageous to the president.
Yeah, he said that. He admits what it is. He said the narrative is that the president is strong and courageous.
Strong and tough.
Which is the narrative.
Which is the narrative, but that's amazing that that's the narrative. I mean, this thing that we're so critical of, so many are so critical of, is that actually has a great deal of political currency.
Yeah, and which makes you think that maybe McCain's right. Where McCain is about where the leaks came from. I couldn't even begin to speculate on where the leaks came from. They could have come from a lot of places. I mean, basically what it comes from is good reporting. Ultimately, that's what that is.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's good reporting, and then obviously somebody leaks it. But when you're doing well, that's because somebody who knows something that nobody else knows is telling you something, so you can tell everybody. But what is not true about this administration, and doesn't even, of course, compare to the last administration, is the politicizing of national security, which is always politicized. Look, it's the president of the United States. They're running the White House. It's all politicized to some extent. But the Bush administration was rampant in the politicization of national security, constantly just raising the threat level whenever things look down, just so the media would focus on that.
If this is about politics and the White House is about politics, then by all means you have to trumpet what's going on and what you're doing and what your accomplishments are.
I mean, there's a balance.
There is a balance.
Obviously, there's some benefit to we know from every diplomat would say that there's a benefit to quiet diplomacy and conducting it.
In diplomacy, but not in politics.
Well, yes, but in national security, there's a tremendous amount of diplomacy involved in national security. There wasn't any diplomacy involved in national security with the previous president, which made politicizing it very easy, and also made manipulating national security to suit your politics happen on a regular basis. I don't even think they thought of that. I'd be amazed if there were one discussion about whether this was the right thing to do ever.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that Powell and Rice were both diplomats when they were diplomats, and I think that there were. I think there was.
I don't think they were involved in those decisions.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think they were what the decisions that they were charged with. Certainly Powell, and probably Rice.
There were hundreds of people in the Bush administration, responsible diplomats in the Foreign Service, going about their business, but they were not consulted on what we decided to release to the public, I don't think. Here's the rest of John McCain pointing out, I think, to some extent, a false equivalence, equating these leaks with going after Bradley Manning.
Well, I think you could draw that conclusion, particularly when you got a Private Manning who was a private in the Army who they're going after full bore, as they should, for the WikiLeaks issue, and they've gone after a low-level CIA employee, and yet I've heard no real reaction from the administration. The president has been silent about this.
So John McCain is saying that the president is not going after the leakers, and he's implying that the president really wants these leaks to happen. So that's what he's saying. Is that considered treason to leak classified information, even from the administration? If they do it that is treason, right?
I would think so, yeah.
So he's accusing the president of treason, and indirectly, kind of gently accusing the president of that. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't think McCain probably even quite realizes that that's what what he's doing.
And I don't think McCain knows. I mean, I don't want to say what McCain knows, but I don't think he feels like he's accusing the president of treason.
He doesn't feel that way, but he in fact is, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, there's certainly a way, like an insubordinative president, being an insubordinative president.
Let's take a quick listen to the president defending the administration against that the leaks came from inside the administration.
Well put.
Thank you.
The notion that my White House would purposely release classified national security information is offensive.
Here's what I mean. Now let me go off on another slight tangent. Who cares if it's offensive? I don't care if I totally don't care if the president is offended. I no longer care if anyone's offended. Like, offended.
That offends me.
Right, well, you know what? Screw
really-
you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, you don't, I'll quote my brother, you don't have a right in this country not to be offended. It's one of the great things that my brother has said for a long time.